Hello, everybody. It's CJ Miller. I'm in my apartment in Shreveport, Louisiana. And what am I talking about today? Okay. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about permanent waves because that's the vibe that I'm in today. And I'm going to explain a little bit about um, why I love this particular thing. I think it's a wonderful blend of scientific knowledge and artistic technique, and they meet perfectly in this type of chemical work that is hardly really used anymore. Not that many people, uh, as compared to in the 80s, get the permanent waves. A lot of times, maybe some straighteners, which is very similar, uh, but without the perm rod, you know. Uh, but I'll get into that in a second. I will say that uh, to begin this, I've got to go back to when I was 17 years old, and my father introduced me to an artist who was a senior citizen. He was a retired artist. He'd made a living. He was a great guy. What he told me, because I took my little works with them, I was trying to be so creative, and I don't think I was very good at all. I really don't. I think a lot of it looked like just splotches of smeared ink. Like my technique could have been done by a little 2-year old kid. And I'm someone who had designed, middle school gymnasiums for dances that I hardly ever went to. I would do like Halloween decorations or whatever. So whatever in art class. So anyway, um, yeah, this guy showed me up. He took his pencil, touched it to the paper, did a scribble, and like in just a matter of like 30 seconds, I'm looking at this little boy holding a fishing pole, leaning up against a tree, and it's basically just one big long scribble, and I'm like, eh. But so I was very impressed with what he had to say after that, and what he told me very simply, one bit of advice: no matter what you do, whatever you go, whatever, when you find yourself in some sort of school and you feel like you've gotten all that you can get from that school, don't be afraid to leave it and go on to whatever it is that you're going to do next, and you'll learn something from there. Be it another school or be it just another avenue of life or whatever. So that was kind of cool. Um, because I had already left high school by that point, and uh, yeah. Uh, then I was searching what do I do next or whatever, and I tried a couple of things and it failed, and then I found myself into cosmetology. And the first school that I went to, it was a very solutions oriented school where they taught us a lot about business, which you do learn about. People say, oh, they should teach you how to uh, you know, do bank work and everything like that. They should teach you how to uh, manage money and everything in school. And it's like they do. I was learning how to count money in elementary school, and by the time I got to uh, ninth grade, I was enrolled in what was called consumer math, where they teach you all about accruing interest and accounting and everything like that. There's other maths too, so whatever. That was the meme they should teach you how to do other, but they do. It's called consumer math. Yeah. Anyway, uh, but they taught us a lot of the business aspect, how to run a business of a salon, as well as how to do awesome stuff with hair. Uh, and permanent waves were big there, specifically body waves. Just doing things when you needed to add, you know, you wanted to add some thickness. The intent in this right here is what I have. The intent is that I have to work with what I have. My intent is to add thickness and body to my hair. It's not so much to create uh, design or an effect, but to add thickness. It's one of the ways that I cope with having a thinner head of hair as I get older. Uh, and it works with my method that I'm going to talk about works very well with the fact that I color my hair. Now, I started perming my hair again just last year. And I'll go ahead and talk about it because it's cool. It's a very uh, it's not a specific. Uh, I mean, it's the chemicals are harsh, but the way I'm going to describe it is a little less harsh. Uh, this is a exothermic perm solution. Now, an exothermic perm solution makes its own heat. It's amino thioglycolic acid, and this particular formula can use, and it does come with an activator that you put in the solution. It's a little bit, just a touch of hydrogen peroxide, just enough to create a little bit of heat from a chemical reaction so it neutralizes a little bit of the amino thioglycolic acid. And that creates heat that stays kind of underneath the cap that you wear. And that heat causes your cuticles to open because what needs to happen is the remainder of the thioglycolic acid, which is most of it, that does not get neutralized. Most of it does not. Penetrates the cuticle, the open cuticle, and goes to the cortex where the disulfur bonds are in the hair are then reacted with, and they are broken, and uh, and that is uh, what happens there. What happens, and then and then what happens is after about 20 minutes or whenever you feel and the method that I use, I do not add the activator. The reason why I do not add the activator is because my hair it's thin. It always has, and I mean fine. I don't mean thin. I mean fine. I mean the actual hair strand itself is fine. Um, when I was younger, I had like a ton of hair, like really dense hair, but it was fine. The so it was interesting uh, to work around with that. So I knowing one's own hair. If you're going to be a salon person of any sort, no matter what you specialize in, hair cutting or chemical work or whatever, the first thing you need to do, and it's a pet peeve of mine, is you really need to learn to listen to your patron who's sitting in your chair. If you can't listen to that person who's had their entire life, they have lived with their hair, they know what their hair will do and what they won't do. If you listen to them, if you listen to that instead of trying to be the artiste and everything, if you kind of take that into consideration, a consultation is very important for the first time with your patrons. And if you can't really spend the time to do a consultation, then you may as well just stay working in those buck and cuts. Those little uh, mall shops or something like that or whatever. So I don't know. Um, so this school, they were, I learned a lot of okay, what to do, what are some things, and what are some different methods that work and everything. And I did learn this method, which is you can leave out the activator if a perm comes with an activator. You can leave it out, and then you can supply and use it's an exothermic. It's kind of like, what do you do if it's an exothermic perm solution, but for some reason the activator, you're out of activator or something like that. Well, you could put a little bit of permanence hydrogen peroxide. You could add it after the fact, give or take, and everything like that. But you run the risk of an uneven perm, uneven, and yeah, it's risky. And what to do is to uh, supply uh, heat from the outside versus you have to supply the heat instead of the amino thioglycolic acid working with the activator to make its own heat as it were. uh, you actually supply the heat to open the cuticle, and then it would go into the cortex layer of the hair and do the chemical bonding that it needs to do, which is to bond and create that disulfur uh, bond. Anyway, uh, it's a supplying a hydrogen into the hair, introducing it that kind of works with that. But anyway, uh, it's all about neutrons and electrons, exchanging. The most elementary person uh, can understand how um, different compounds are made from elements that are attracted to each other through positive and negative attractions. Um, so I'm not going to go that far into it, even though I do love that. But that's the science part that I love. Of the art, the technique of it. I love being a little creative about it. Is this technique? It's like I want a softer effect, and so what I do is I actually take a hot towel instead of going under a dryer, because obviously I don't have a dryer here. And this is better too. You just take like a damp towel, microwave that sucker for about until it's hot, and then take it and wrap it around my head and keep it wrapped around my head for about 2 or 3 minutes at a time. And I would do that, and I did it. I did it before too. Like the last time I permed my hair, and it stayed nice and wavy. Uh, Actually, just the other day, it was still. There was still enough body in it that I could do something to make it look presentable. But I could tell I was getting to a point that I needed to update the perm, which is if I'm going to do perms, I need to maybe do them about every you know 7 6 7 months or something like that. Kind of whatever. This is a good way because it's a good technique, because what's going to happen with that is after the processing, then you rinse it all out of the hair. Uh, they're typically timed perms, like they like amino thioglycolic acid. Uh, when you they usually go on for about 20 minutes uh, to process. This I went a little bit longer because uh, I was not activating it because my cuticle is already, partially open from the chemicals that I used during the hair coloring process. And yeah, anyway, because I frequently process my hair, my hair is already conditioned to take a perm and take it well, you know, and I know that. And so, knowing my hair, I know that this technique is probably best. I do use a tighter perm rod uh, because I know that uh, maybe in the next 5 to 7 days, about the first time I shampoo this thing, and I won't shampoo it for 3 to 4 days. What's going to happen is it's going to loosen dramatically. So I've got these really tight curls right now. That's not the way this is going to remain. Uh, Perms, they almost always will loosen within the first week to 2 weeks uh, uh, to what you can pretty much count on. So that's kind of cool. I like that. So you know that when you if you are like me and you get perms, you know your perm is going to be real tight for about a week or so but then after that, it does loosen, and you just kind of know that, you know. It's kind of like if you get highlights in your hair pulled through a cap. Well, then you know through that technique, it's really, really hard to get the strand of the hair that you're highlighting all the way down to the root. And even if you did in a couple of days, it's going to start showing anyway because your hair grows about roughly about on average, maybe about half inch a month, give or take. You know, that's the approximate part. So I don't know. This is also something that's true. I still have a passion for this permanent wave business. That if you get me talking on perms and the chemical of it, but also blending with the technique of it, that's the artistry that I see in this. And if I start talking about it, I mean, I talk a lot anyway, but when you get me on any topic, I can really talk about this stuff and really get into it. But what has to happen after that perm solution sets is that you have to rinse it and then you put on your neutralizer, which is, guess what? The same as your activator, hydrogen peroxide, but a lot more of it. Uh, and it's a creamed hydrogen peroxide. It is the peroxide that does this chemical bonding. So your activator is just a little bit of your neutralizer. Uh, if you need to get that exothermic heat, you know. Conversely, if you have an endothermic perm, which is a perm that comes with the anticipation that you will actually supply heat, uh, but your hair dryer and every method that you have of supplying heat is broken down, take just a splash of your neutralizer. You have to know it. You have to test it out. Maybe add some of your neutralizer if you know the strength of it, just a little bit to the perm solution, just enough to give it warmth. But make sure you got room for that bottle because it will expand and it can explode. That's why I don't really like you know, uh, the harshness of a chemical that putting that neutralizer, putting the activator into the perm solution at home, it's a little too unpredictable. You know, not that I think it's not going to blow up or anything like that, but it could. I mean, it's a chemical reaction that's happening. What happens when you go to neutralize the perm is that you've already rinsed out the amino thioglycolic acid. You have got to thoroughly rinse that out before putting that neutralizer on your hair, or you will know that you did not because there will be a very warming, heating sensation taking place because yeah, rinse it out. Okay, and then you can, and there's that's the science of it, but the artistry of it also is in getting to know how these chemicals work with each other, and it's almost as if you're thinking about how different viscosities of oil paint work versus where you can blend an oil and an acrylic, and where and an oil and acrylic will not work depending upon the effect that you want. Like if you can put oil on top of acrylic, but if you put acrylic on top of oil, it's gonna take that oil like depending upon how moist the oil was. If the oil is completely dry, then fine, but the acrylic may break down the oil. But more importantly, if you really coated it with an acrylic, that oil that's underneath it, that any moisture that's in that oil is not going to be able to escape, and it will just take a lot longer to dry. You know, um, there are times when oil and acrylic paint can work together, and that's a technique of the artistry and the creative parts. So my feelings about cosmetology and especially in permanent wave work that I used to really want to specialize in. uh, that I get that artistic rush that I got and that I picked up from that one guy that talked about, hey, when you get to where you have filled up on the knowledge of this one place, don't, move on and do other things. You don't have to sit in a box just because you got into the box. You don't have to you stay in the box. You can move on. You can do other things, if I'm saying that right. So, and I did, and yeah, whatever. It was the thing that really hits me is that artists, no matter what type of art, whatever their medium, it's because they have things to say and they really have things to express, and they are the philosophers, and yeah, it's great. Okay, so yeah, artists are philosophers. Um, and it's good to have a structure of a you know prolifery, a frequency, and that's something that I really kind of lack. I'm kind of I'll get at something and create something when I feel up to it, when I, so whatever. Uh, but anyway, yeah, when I start talking about this kind of stuff, especially the permanent wave, people, I mean, I would just like talk forever on this kind of stuff. But I also was one hell of a salesman when it came to, uh, selling product, in the salons that I worked at, because I was very knowledgeable about it, and the passion that I felt for it came forward. You know. Okay, I love you guys. Uh, thank you for indulging my little walk down memory lane. The perm that I'm wearing in a few days, it'll be a lot looser. Most days I'll still wear a ponytail and a hat. I don't always walk around with some gel or hairspray on the hair or something like that. When you do a permanent wave, you will get some frizziness if you don't use a product, especially when you go kind of tight like this. You kind of get away with it if you do like something loose. Uh, but yeah. But even though this looks tight, it will be looser on me in the coming weeks. I love you guys. I really did. Love and light, peace. Good night. If I don't stop talking about it now, I won't. Bye.